So we're going to start by creating a link in our index.html file over here to a brand new website that we'll create. Now you can also link to other outside websites on your webpage, and we'll practice that too. The big thing to understand first is that there are two parts to a link in HTML. The first part is the actual name of the file that we link to, or the external URL of a page that's already created. The second thing is what's called the hotspot. Now, the hotspot is the actual text or a picture that you would click on the page to get where you want to go. So, for example, if I'm on TikTok right here, here's a link and its hotspot is actual text. It's hashtag happy holidays. If I click this hashtag happy holidays hotspot, it brings me to a specific page. So I've got the text hotspot here, and then I've got this URL up here on the top that I linked to. Those were the two parts of that link. Now the hotspot can also be a picture. So for example, we've got the TikTok logo or the actual TikTok videos that when I click them, it will bring me to a new link or URL. So let's break down the HTML for inserting a link onto your page and then practice actually doing it. The tag for a link is actually A, and it stands for anchor. I know you would think link is L, but the link tag is actually A. So we'll start with our opening bracket and then A, and then we come across our first attribute. So the attribute href equals, and then the quotes, is what stands for hypertext reference. And a hypertext reference is the file or link location or URL that you're actually trying to get to. So in this example, this link would go to the webpage link.html. The second part of our link, remember, is the hotspot, and this is either the clickable text or the picture for where we want to go. Now, it's important to note that your hotspot does not need to be the same thing as the page name or URL. So you'll see that the page name in the attribute is link.html, but the clickable text that I'll see on my web page says hotspot. They do not need to be the same. So let's give it a whirl by adding in a couple links on our index.html homepage. Now, most websites have a navigational structure at the top of their page. So for example, if I go to Amazon, here's their navigational structure. They've got this image hotspot that links to their homepage, amazon.com. And then below that, they've got all these different links in terms of their navigational structure that brings them elsewhere in Amazon. We're going to do the same thing on our web page, and we're going to add our navigational structure right before our headline of Hello World. So in our code, I'm going to go before my first headline. I'm going to hit enter, and on line 7 is where I'm going to code in my navigation. So in navigation, I'm going to start with a link that brings me to my home page. So I'll start my opening bracket, and then the link tag, remember, is A for an anchor tag. And then I've got my first attribute, which is href equals, and then the quotes. And this is my hypertext reference. So where am I referencing or linking to? I'm linking to my home page. My home page's file name specifically is, if I look up here, it's called index.html. So I'll go to index.html. Then I need to end the bracket, and it adds in my closing tag for me. And this is where I need to put my hotspot or my clickable words. And so this would be my home page. All right, so notice that home is my hotspot and index.html is the actual file name. If I save and I go over and I refresh, I'm going to see at the top of my page that my link to home is there. Now, when I click that link to home, it just refreshes my current page because remember, it's linked to index.html. So let's go over and let's add a second link to a second page that we're going to create. So in my code after home, I'm going to put a space, and then I am going to put a little bracket bar to separate home. And this is the key that's right above enter on your keyboard. Then I'm going to add another space, and I'm going to start typing in the HTML code for a link again. So my bracket, I've got a href equals, and this is where I'm going to put in the name of my second page. So the name of my second page that I'm going to use is just going to be called page2.html. I will end my bracket, It's automatically added in my closing tag, but I still need to put a hotspot here. So remember, the hotspot's the clickable words. I'm going to call page 2 links. So if I do a file save again and I refresh, I've now got links over here. So my hotspot word is links, but when I click links, it's going to go to page 2. Now notice it says my file is not found. That's because if I go on my address bar and I look up here, it is trying to go to my test website root folder and find the file called page2.html. If I go into my root folder right now and I look in my root folder, the only page that's in here right now is index.html. So the reason I'm not getting a website to show over here is because I have not created or saved page2.html in my root folder. So that's the next thing we're going to do.